What is going on, my YouTube friends, all my Patreon friends, all my, I don't even know how to say this, man. All my like goat tier musician friends. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe like Tim Henson and the guitar playing, like and all the like Polyphia stuff. Like, I don't even know how to describe it. I say things like freak and I say things like outlier and stuff, and I don't want to offend anybody. So early in our relationship, we'll ease into my language. But my friend McFly JP, who's another fantastic reactor here on YouTube, got me on the Polyphia train. I reacted to Goat before. And then he asked me to check out Tim Henson's Studio Part 2 Process. And the thing is, y'all will probably know the application directly better than I will. Guaranteed you will, because I've only seen Goat and maybe like a TikTok reel or two, like kind of over time, right? So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to describe what the product sounds like or why I might use it. And hopefully that adds kind of like some characteristic to the kind of thing. We get a little reaction out of it. But anyway, so that's what we're up to here, my friends. I have a background as like a live technician, but I just finished mixing an EP. I spent lots of time in my studio and in a couple other buddies' studios. So I don't know. I think we're gonna have a lot of fun. McFly JP, I appreciate this, my friend. Y'all go check him out. I got his account in a pinned comment down below. Show him some love. He's got some Polyphia reactions as well. And he's putting together a guitar record or a project. So I think that was part of why he asked me to do this too. But like something's got to drive him to want to be that talented. And then like there's going to be a lot of natural talent in that too. But like I don't want to discredit all the hard work that he's put in to become this too, right? Like it's just interesting, man. He just seems so like gentle and so just like caring or something. I'm not too sure. It's early though for me.
I'm going to be showing you my home studio recording setup and the things that I use and stuff. So first thing, we have the Black Lion Audio Power Grid 1, the PG1. This is just a power thing that things plug into with the back of this. All of this stuff plugs into this.
Yeah.
It's got some numbers there.
I don't think I have to explain that to y'all, right? Power conditioning, you just have one ground. So like if you start plugging in all these different units, like this is the UA part is like the interface. They sound really nice. He's probably got like an extension on it or whatever. But if you have that plugged into one outlet on the wall, and then you have another one over here, and this one maybe 30 years ago when the house got a little bit of water damage, you might start getting some like noises or interference that you can't get away from. So you kind of want everything to be down to one ground, and then you need to manage all your power too. So he's got 122 volts. He's good. And then like, you know, if there was a storm or a shortage or something, this would pop a fuse before you lost your thousands and thousands of dollars worth of like, I don't even want to start guessing. This is probably like $4,000. This down here, looks like a Neve preamp, like an 8-channel preamp or something like that. Crazy expensive.
The next thing that we've got is this rack space filler, and you can run cables through here, and it's cool because it looks like little hairs. The next thing that we've got is the Apollo X8. This is what I use as my interface. I think it has 8 outs, but it's got some pretty good converters. It's also got some pretty cool software. And then the next thing that we have...
yeah, it's got really cool software. It's got like all the official hardware emulations from like all the vintage stuff, like an LA2A 1176, all that stuff. Like it's got like the TM version of it, and it comes with your UA bundle. UA is like the standard when it comes to mobile or home studios now. Like that's that's pro tier, right? I can't afford it. One of the studios that I work out of has a 4-channel one. He's got the 8-channel one. So,
but it's got some pretty good converters. It's also got some pretty cool software. And then the next thing that we have is the Behringer something PowerPlay 16. And this is how we run ADAT through the live room so that our drummer Ashelman can hear the different things in his ears. Then we've got another...
Okay, so hold on. So if it's ADAT, that's an extension. So you could use it as extra input. So like if you have your Apollo and it does 8, and then maybe you have the Behringer thing does 32, like if it's in their X32 brand or whatever that is. Now you can do 15 channels of drums that everyone can mix for themselves. So if it has a split out, like they used to be called Avions, if you have like a Firewire or Cat5, it could probably be Cat5 out to this little thing over here. Now the drummer can, within reason, mix his own drums so he can hear them the way that he wants them, as well as anything that's pre-recorded or being recorded in the moment. And he kind of has like, whatever you call that, like he's free to do it himself, right? there's a word there. It's early, my friends. It's 6 in the morning.
Our drummer Ashelman can hear the different
Yeah,
things.
you can pan it too. Cool.
Then we've got another cool little hairy toothbrush kind of thing that you stick cords through. After that, we've got the Black Lion Audio B12A Quad, which is preamps for the drums.
Okay.
Because the drums need a lot of preamps for the mics.
Yeah.
And then we've got the
Okay, so the Behringer unit is probably more handy as like a utility thing than it's actually used for like tones, because you do get sounds from like transformers and like you pass things through preamps and stuff. So like I have a Scarlett, I have an 18 input. Well, I think it only is like 8 physical, but anyway, it's like 18 in, 20 out if you really want. But the preamps don't sound great. So I could buy, and I've rented like a Neve preamp, and then you'd bypass this preamp and it just sounds like the nicer one, right? So he's got all the extra drum channels and everything coming in on the Behringer product, which I would argue is hopefully just transparent. And then they've got this set of these preamps here, and that just is going to give your drums life. So like this microphone, if anyone uses like an SM7B out there, they're really, really, really quiet. So like I've got a 47 decibel boost on this before it hits the compressor. So like it takes a lot of preamp and the stuff just to make one microphone work, let alone like a whole drum set, right? And you want it to sound like full of harmonics. You want it to sound all the ways that you want it, like from the recording. You don't want to have to fix that all after. So that's a great way of doing it, and probably being like budget friendly. Not that he has to be super budget friendly, I'm assuming, but you still don't want to be like go too over the top, right?
Phoenix Audio DRS8 MK2, also preamps for the
More
drums.
preamps, yeah.
And I think there's 8 channels. So
that's the one I thought was a Neve. These look like Neve knobs here.
There's a ton of microphones for the drums. That's why all the preamps are necessary. But yeah, my laptop plugs into all of this. I've got a MacBook Pro something or other, and goes to here. And this is what the setup looks like, and I sit here at my desk and I record things. Yeah, now I'm going to show you guys some of my favorite plugins and my workflow. Alright guys, so as many of you know, I have a plugin called Archetype Tim Henson. That's kind of my main workhorse when I'm doing my home recordings. I work out of Ableton, as you can see here. So I'm going to show you guys some really cool things that I like to do with my plugin, and then some other plugins that I use in conjunction with my plugin. So we're going to go ahead and open up an instance of Archetype Tim Henson, which we already have open. We're then going to go to the multi-voice preset, which comes loaded into
nice looking amp.
The plugin when you get it. You're then going to insert your MIDI. Here I'm using the Purgatory MIDI from my song Purgatory. You can get the MIDI there from my website. So before you start recording, you're going to want to have your MIDI routed to Archetype Tim Henson. The way that you do that is you just hit the out right here, and then route it to Audio 2, and it's just the first thing that comes up right there on Archetype Tim Henson. So
on any DAW, especially if you have the paid ones, the free ones might be a little bit more limited, but you'll be able to do this routing stuff. It might not be over here like it is in, I think he said Ableton. Like I use Cubase, you have to do it from like the top on like the channel strip, kind of like a console, depending on your view. But you should be able to do that anywhere. Just look up like routing, like how to change routing in Reaper or whatever, right?
Now you should be able to route your audio into the MIDI.
Cool.
Cool, so now we have our audio, and what we're going to do is cut off the tails here just because I don't like to see that, and this is what it sounds like. So you can hear that we're like clipping a little bit, so what we're going to do is go into the multi-voicer and then turn down our harmonies. Much better.
Interesting.
All right, so the next thing that we're going to do, I have
digital clipping. Analog clipping is a little bit different than digital clipping. This would be digital just because it's plugins and stuff, right? It basically just means that like it maxes out in the information it can take in, right? So you can change it, you can influence it a bit, but if it's maxed like on the way in, like so like if this waveform here was distorted, not the app or the plugin here, then he wouldn't be able to go back and fix that, right? So he's recording this quite quiet and he's boosting it with everything else. And yeah, like I don't know his plugin. I didn't know what was going on there. I thought that was maybe like just the recording relay or something, but I guess it was the harmonies distorting. So that's neat that you have control of that in the
chain
plugin
that I like a lot. So I'm going to open this up, and in here you can see that we've got a ton of stuff. And this is actually going to go inside of the multi-voice chain. But first, you guys remember when I told you about Session Studio, the app designed for music creators to easily collaborate on audio ideas, lyrics, and songs, instantly organize song credits, and effortlessly store and share audio and releases? Well, Session Studio has just launched their brand new creator tier. With the creator tier, you'll have access to exclusive benefits that will provide you with amazing resources to make your creative process a breeze.
beautiful looking studio.
Not only will you have everything that the free tier offers, but you'll also receive 500 gigs of storage and unlimited use of their playlists feature, where you can put together playlists to share with your collaborators or pitch to labels and publishers, making these playlists downloadable and shareable with ease.
Got like an EPK
Plus,
section.
you'll have the ability to revoke share links whenever you need to. If you record music, Session Studio is already integrated with all the major DAWs like Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, FL, and more. My partnership with Session means that I can offer you an exclusive 3-month promo to use the creator tier for free. The promo code is TimSession. You can enter in the checkout when upgrading to the creator tier monthly.
I don't know
By
who
the
his
way,
videographer
I'm
is, but
pleased
they're
to
killing
announce
this.
that I'll be the judge for Session Studio's monthly global songwriting competition. For October, you can win over $2,000 of cash prizes and software just by submitting a song securely through the Session Studio app, and I'll be listening to them. Full info and T&Cs are links below. So at the beginning of the chain, we have a plugin called Spiff. And Spiff is a really insane plugin, and I'm going to show you why.
There's a lot going on there.
I'm going to take off everything and go through kind of what each plugin does. So with Spiff, this is what it sounds like. So this preset is called Aquarium Guitar, and
it's like
basically
a crazy
what
EQ.
it does is it kind of just makes you sound like you're in an aquarium. I had to move all of this EQ so that it would like not sweep the range. So this is what it sounds like with that. All right, so
basically like what this is like where's zero? Zero's right here. So this is like neutral or plumb, like whatever you want to call it. So he's got roll-offs basically just at his low frequencies and his like really, really, really high frequencies, right? So this is just, you're pulling off information that doesn't need to be recorded. Like the guitar line isn't bright and brilliant. It's more like effecty and like aquarium-y, especially right now. So like you don't need all this like airy frequencies, like dog whistle stuff. Like pull that out. That's just information that's going to add to that clipping, right? And like it might be low, like you can see in this when it's like
it would, and it does is it kind of so what it does is it kind of just makes you sound like you're in an aquarium. I had to move all of this EQ so that it would like not sweep the range.
So like his guitar probably needed like a little bit of like a high boost here, pretty neutral everywhere, and then like the low mid starts to roll, yeah, and then it breaks at like 100. 100 is like your high pass filter. Usually like anything 100 and lower is like sub harmonics. That would go to like your subwoofer, typically.
So this is what it sounds like with that.
So you see how like there's still information up here, but it's way less than all this middle stuff, right? So that's what I'm talking about. Like if he had left this up, then there would be much more on here at the sub spot and in the like dog whistle spot. And we just don't need that. You just don't need that.
All right. So then basically the raw DI signal is getting processed by Spiff before it hits Archetype Tim Henson. After Archetype Tim Henson, we're going to have FabFilter Pro C2.
So the signal chain is important, right? Like, so he's saying that the guitar goes direct in. They have like a DI, but like a preamp or whatever you have, just plug your guitar in. And then from that, it goes into the MIDI thing, and then from that into the EQ. So if you went the other way, if you went from the guitar to the DI to the EQ, now it would shave off all those sounds in the EQ and then send it to the harmony processing. And that might just give you a different feel. Typically, you want to EQ first so that you're not sharing all the frequencies you don't want. because like, yeah, it's just like, why boost this and then try to take it away? Just take it away at the beginning and then do all the rest of your stuff.
Which is a compressor. So you can see here. Cool. It looks like my preset is gentle wide mastering. And yeah, it's compressing it a bit. The next thing that we have is Soothe 2.
Okay, hold on. So compressors is like my favorite. So he's got it. I don't know what this is. You have to play with the ratio a bit. This looks like it's maybe like 4-to-1, like 1-to-1, infinite to 1, or like brick wall. So like it's gonna go around and like you just have to play with it until you get it right. The threshold, what you're doing with the threshold is you're setting. I wish I could see what he had it. I'd say it's at like minus 30 decibels, right? Once you have the ratio set and that threshold, the audio signal has to go above that threshold a certain amount for the compressor to let it go up. So at a ratio of 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1, it has to break that threshold that you've set this here for it to go up. So if you go over 4 decibels, it'll only let it go up 1 decibel. That's what I'm talking about, right? If you go up 8 decibels, 2, like it's directly correlated. But you can play with that. And what you can also do with that is you can boost the quieter part. So like if you have, like if you're doing a drone note on your thumb and it's real quiet, and then you've got that loud licky part, that will balance that more, especially when you stop playing the high stuff and you go to the droney note. It'll bring up the bottom, the quieter parts of it, and it'll squash down the tops of the dynamics, effectively removing the dynamics and leaving it more to like perceived volume, I guess. And then the attack, he's got that really quick. So it's going to catch like right at the beginning of the transient. The more open you let this be, depending on the compressor, the louder, or like the more it lets through, right? The more the transient it lets through before the compressor actually squashes it. So he's got this quite short, which will probably go into that like kind of lo-fi feel. And then the release of it is quite slow. So once it's hit, it stays there for a long time, right? And you can set that lower or faster. I usually have that quite slow myself as well. A little bit of a gain boost. And he's got the mix turned down a little bit too. So it's not 100% of the compressor's sound. It's backed off a little bit here. But anyway, that was a long way of doing that.
It's by the same people that make Spiff. And this is
another EQ.
It's one of the best plugins to ever exist. You put Soothe on anything and it makes it sound good. So this is what it sounds like now. So this is a bit too percussive. That's the preset name.
I bet.
And it's just giving it a little saturation, a little more texture. It's kind of messing with the transients a bit. Then we're going to...
So like the conversation around saturation and transients is always a tough one, because I can't go, here you go, this is a transient, or this is harmonics, or this is distortion. Like there is no physical object to hand off for that, right? So he's inflating the airy part of the EQ. And when you're doing this after the fact, like, so your first section is going to be to remove the stuff you don't want. It's surgical, Bobby Huff says. And then this part is to like clean up where you've gotten it to. So he's adding almost like a balloon character into to the top of this EQ, and it's going to give you the real airy feel. And like if you did this to a snare drum, that's when you would really get that like crack out of it, right? So he's pulled out a lot of that information. Now he's using the sound of the EQ to add it back in a little bit. And a bit too percussive is probably because it's going to like try to distort here at 8K. And like I say, in my drum reference there, the snare drum reference is between like 7K and like 12K. So that would make sense that that's just adding like punch and like some airiness there.
To have Valhalla delay. And normally you're going to put your delays at the very end of the signal chain. But I'm a bastard and I like to do bullshit. So this is what the delay sounds like.
I love doing bullshit.
So I don't even really have
it's not delaying
that much delay
it's
happening.
Like a doubler.
The preset is Hi-Fi Guitar Slap 2. And it basically just it doesn't, there's not too much, there's not like a tail or anything. It's more so a texture.
Yeah, it's a doubler. Like it's a 0 millisecond delay. So there's like no delay, right? Real short feedback, but the width of it is wider. So like when you hear the guitar right in the middle, it might feel like it's actually sitting beside you a little bit, right? And he's got some mastering stuff on here too, which will push that a little bit more. And it looks like he's got, just like not a bunch on here, man. The Valhalla delay must just like sound cool.
The next thing that we're going to do is add another instance of spiff at the end of the signal chain. And this time, the preset that we're going to use is called Instant Lap Steel. And as you can imagine, it makes your guitar sound like a lap steel in the sense that what spiff does is it's a transient shaper. And so you could either have like extremely percussive stuff or extremely sustained stuff. And so what this one is doing is it's sustaining the shit out of this. So this is what it sounds like
and
now.
It's a low boost.
So at the beginning of the signal chain, I have spiff on the aquarium setting, kind of like making the transients hit really hard and kind of cutting the tails off. And then at the end of the signal chain, I have the instant lap steel preset that's kind of like
carrying.
There's no transients on the instant lap steel. So like if I take off this, you can hear the transients aren't there at all. I'm gonna turn this.
When he does the whoop, like the runs his hand up the strings, it like jumps almost a little bit. Hear that?
You can hear the transients aren't there at all. I'm gonna turn this back on. So now we have our transients back, and then we have the sustain, like really, you know.
God, he's got a good ear for that guitar playing stuff, man. Like in a full mix, I could talk about a lot of this stuff. Probably not sustained, maybe sustained, depending on the situation. God, he's got a good ear.
Dragging out, and then the very last part of the signal chain is ozone imager. And basically what I do here is I just make it a bit wider. So normally this is going to be like a fairly, I mean, I guess it's not going to be that much of a mono sound. As you can see in Archetype Tim Henson, we have it spread pretty wide. Now it's even fucking wider.
Yeah.
On the imager.
Like it's really interesting how you can do that. Because like when you imagine left and right, like that's only a part of it. You know what I mean? And this wouldn't be an example of like if you were walking in a park and you were listening to one guitar player, you're not going to hear 5 instances of guitars. But if there's 5 musicians playing the same thing that Tim Henson's playing here, then you're going to hear it. And when you look at it, when you're looking at the like 5 setup, your brain is going to associate different parts to the different placements. And they might be playing the same thing, but when you're looking at the one guitar, you might go, oh, that's a little darker sounding, or oh, that what that person did was a little flashy, and I heard it from this side of my head, like forward, up, and over a little bit. And this is like natural stereo imaging, right? So like when you have a drum kit, like if you're a drummer and you're sitting here, you have your kick right in the middle, your snare drum usually right in the middle, just for kind of good sake. And then sometimes your hi-hat to like the side a little bit, maybe a couple toms to the side. These ones really far on this side, cymbal this way, cymbal this way. And if you don't let it be in its stereo, like in its natural state kind of, then it feels weird, right? And it's the same, like he's kind of doing the same thing here. He's building an environment, even though it's just him, but you need A, space, and B, you need like an experience, right? So if you had the 5 musicians in front of you, that would be the encompassing experience. It's all around you. And now he's creating that with his one guitar, which is like...
So yeah, that's basically my multi-voicer chain. If we take everything off and just leave Archetype Tim Henson, this is what it sounds like, just Archetype Tim Henson. Add that extra sauce, put this in the middle between Spiff and Fab Filter, and it sounds like this. So yeah, just a little bit of extra sauce, and those are some of my favorite plugins.
Yeah, man. If you're not like a studio person, like this is what I'm trying to wrap my head around, is like that it feels like a lot. You know what I mean? Like I just want to be able to pick up a guitar and play it and have it sound the way it sounds. But that's never the case. That is never, ever, ever the case. There's always so much bullshit that has to go into it. Even like the guitar doubler thing with no, or like the delay with no actual delay, like that is so funny, but so realistic. There's guitar players who have like 10 millisecond delays on their guitars all the time, so it sounds like there's 2 guitar players. 10 milliseconds. Like it's little things you have to do to make it sound big and beefy, especially if you're doing exposed parts or like thinner like melodies on top of like, like in that goat song, the big drums and the bass and everything going on. Like you need a lot of saturation and harmonics just to fill out that space, right? Um, Obviously he's got his head wrapped around how he likes to do it. But like if I could challenge anyone who does recording, I would say start adding on more stuff, man. Hopefully it serves, but don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid to turn stuff all the way up. Add a few EQs in there, start playing with some compressors, all that stuff. Like this just like keeps affirming for me that it's okay to add multiple EQs. Because my concern is always, well, I already added 2 EQs and I still need a little something. Well, add another one, man. Just have at it. Just make it sound the way you want it to sound. All right, my friends. This has been a lot of fun. A little bit of a gong show this early. If you made it this far, I appreciate you hanging out. I'd appreciate a thumbs up or a subscription if you haven't already. And if you've spent half an hour with me, man, come on. Come on. Go check out my friend McFlyJP as well. I appreciate you putting me on this, my friend. I'd be happy to field any questions. If y'all drop anything in the comments, if anything stood out to you, or if there's like more to this, or like I said, like y'all will know the application a lot better than I will. Let me know in the comments, man. I love reading that stuff. See y'all in the next one.